Good Monday morning, my peeps. It's Yo Adrienne Talks, Moments That Matter. And I want to give you a huge shout out. It sounded like a lot of people did put reviews and shout out some businesses. I saw some through my feed. And I just wanted to say thank you from all the business owners and the people that you shouted out because I know whether they say it or not, it's always appreciated. I feel like it's a great way to let other people know what you're enjoying. And so when they're looking at doing something, they're like, oh, hey, there's a review and it's a good review, right? Um, so I appreciate that. And since you took challenge one, or if you didn't and you want to take challenge two, here we go with challenge two. So I was wondering if you've ever been doing something completely ordinary and then just thought of someone you haven't talked to or thought about in a really long time. Like one of the big ones for me is like a song comes on, right? Or you see a picture or you smell something that takes you back. For this week, though, in my case, I was reading a book and I actually reached out to a couple people on top of what I'm going to tell you because this book was so good. So if you're a book reader, this book made me think of you by Libby Page was a super cute book. I absolutely loved it. Um, but I was reading it and she goes on a few adventures in this book and it made me think of a couple situations, but I'll talk to you about one in particular. I ended up reaching out to a lot of people because of this book. And but one is like, and a side note to that is just so you know, when you start thinking about something, right? I thought about a good time I had with somebody, then I was like, oh my gosh, and then there was this time. It's amazing how whatever we focus on, like if we're focusing on happy, fun memories, then we start thinking about other happy, fun memories, right? Just saying. I'm just saying. That's why I'm doing all this because it's amazing what your mindset will do when you start thinking about and focusing on something, how those are the memories that come to you. But anyway, as I started thinking about them, I was remembering these really good times. And I thought of one of my friends that we decided to do this huge cross country trip and we stopped in the Grand Canyon in the winter. Now, we all think Grand Canyon desert. Well, okay, maybe just me because a lot of you are probably a lot smarter than me sometimes. But we were like, oh, yeah, we're going to bring a tent and we're going to sleep in the Grand Canyon. It was like February, I think. So, what a great idea, right? But it is one of the coldest nights I think I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, it was freezing. But you know what? When I think of this trip, the cold is like the first memory, but then I think about how much fun we had and all these stories we created. Like we ended up going to Vegas and seeing an Elvis impersonator and all these things. And it was just such a great trip. And even that night was hilarious. I mean, it's one of those things you'll never forget. And I remember her and I just sharing all these moments of just fun and hilarious. And like I said, even when it was freezing, we were goofing around and, laughing and throwing like hand warmers in the bottom of our sleeping bags and all the things. But these are the moments that stick with us. So when I thought of her, I just decided to send her a message, right? My message was super simple. Just right. I was reading this book. It made me think of you. I thought about our trip to the Grand Canyon and all the fun we had in the freezing cold. I miss you. How are you? Right? Super simple. You know what happened? We reconnected. I got to hear what she's been up to. She's actually going on a trip soon, and I had done part of it similar. So we started talking about things that we did. Um, and I got to find out just more about her and what was going on, and it felt really good. And what struck me about it was it didn't take anything, right? It wasn't a grand gesture, it wasn't a giant gift, it wasn't something I planned for weeks. It was just a thought. Instead of letting that thought pass by, which I feel like you guys we do all the time, right? Like our brain thinks of something, we're like, "Oh, I really need to do this. I really need to I've been meaning to all those things," and then we keep going on. But I stopped and I acted on it. And that's my challenge to you this week. Because I know that you are going to, throughout this week, think of someone at some point. Maybe you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe it's somebody you used to work with, a really old friend, someone you used to travel with, someone you used to laugh with. Hey, right now, think of somebody you laughed with all the time that you haven't talked to in a while and just shoot them a text. Hey, how are you doing? Right? I mean, just reach out. Send the text. You popped in my head today. I was remembering this trip. I hope you're doing well. Whatever. That's it. You don't have to have a reason. It doesn't have to be, some big thing. You don't have to wonder if they'll respond. That's not what this is about. It doesn't have to. I did send one to somebody else and I hadn't heard back yet, but it's also about, as much as it's for them, right? That they crossed your mind, it's for you because you're thinking about these good times that you had, these fun people who have been put in your life, these moments that matter, right? We often think that we have to do something huge to make a difference, but these moments that matter can be incredibly small moments, right? It can just be a text, a phone call, a handwritten note, just something little. And you know what I find funny too is a lot of times when these messages come through, I've I've seen in the past when I do these things, somebody's like, "Oh, I was having the worst day. I'm so glad you messaged." Or, whatever. It's just like their phone lights up and somebody's saying, "I'm thinking of you." It matters. It matters to them. And, honestly, when I get one, it totally is like, "Oh, that's so sweet. How are you?" And it's such a fun thing to get. So, here's your challenge for this week. And I'm going to ask you to do it every day, but at least once this week. But if you can do it every day, you know, when someone pops in your head, just don't ignore it. Like, just don't say later, don't say whatever. Just grab your phone, grab a pen and paper, dial a phone number, whichever person you are, because I know there's people who don't text and I know there's people who don't email or don't make phone calls. We know everybody's different, but reconnect, reminisce, tell someone you remember these good times, because maybe that person came to your mind for a reason. And a lot of times, these little moments that matter, you reach out and they needed that, or you needed that, right? You needed that interaction. So I would love for you this week to do that. And, of course, share with everybody else that fun memory if you want to and tag them in it because the greatest thing is these moments that we have throughout our entire lives that have made us who we are in this moment. So you just need to notice these little opportunities. And when someone comes to mind, let them know this week. So until next Monday, when Yo Adrienne talks, make sure you appreciate every moment that matters.